So my first top player, so it's a combo deal. And it's mostly because he carried my team for a lot of my family league for a lot of the season, both of them. But it's a Josh Allen and Bills defense. That is my number one, my top three. I think towards the end of the season, obviously Josh Allen had his struggles and dealing with a slight injury and stuff like that. But for the most of the season, he was my standout player. He carried my team a lot. He was consistent week after week. And the Bills defense, they also crushed it as well. So I think having the combination, and I think this is the first time, too, I played where, like, my quarterback and defense were on the same team. And I really liked that method. But, yeah, Josh Allen ended up second quarterback. Average points 27.38, and then the Bills defense are 6th defense, average point 11.94.
We love Josh Allen.
We do.
This is a Josh Allen friendly podcast.
Allen and Joe Burrow friendly podcast.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad that the Bills and the Bengals are playing this week. Like, I would have rather seen them have to play in the AFC Championship game because we love both the quarterbacks so much, and I would love to see them both win a Super Bowl. So whoever wins that game, we're rooting for you in the AFC.
Our teams end up playing you guys, but
that's true. I would like to see Jacksonville in the Super Bowl if so. We'll see, but Josh Allen's going to be the fantasy quarterback for the next considerable amount of years, and that defense did well. I'm not like a defense carrier. I switch them every week just based on matchups, so It's interesting.
Yeah, I am so the type of player, like fantasy football player, where like I draft my team and I'm riding or dying with you for most of the season.
No. I cut people, I trade people.
Dynasty League is different, but in my other two leagues, like, I don't really change my roster that much. I do obviously swap out, like, when the bye weeks start rolling in and stuff like that. And I literally have the Tennessee Titans, because I think I played them for 1 week. Their defense, they actually did pretty good. But other than that, I usually try to stick with, like, the same core players. Like, most of my team, I'm pretty sure, are the players that I drafted, which is why I think the draft is so important. But yeah, Josh Allen, he is my number one. Like, he gets my gold star for my fantasy football this year because he was just perfection. I don't think I can ever not have him now. Like, I love him as a person. Like, he's so easy to root for. Like, it's hard when like you have, like, for me, a Giants fan, when I have like a Dak Prescott, and I'm just like I want him to do good for my fantasy team, but I don't want him to do good because of the division. But
and he didn't. So
no. I mean, like, back in the heyday.
The heyday. He's 29.
Literally almost the same age as us.
Literally. Yeah, he did a bad year, but he made up for it the other night, so I'm fine. My number one player is actually, he was not on any of my teams, but Janelle talks about him very constantly this season, and it's Josh Jacobs. She absolutely loves this guy, and I feel like she has him every year. He was the third best running back this year, but I didn't realize that. I feel like he goes under the radar, and I feel like Raiders running backs always do. There was a point when I first started playing fantasy in high school, so this is, forever ago. Like, over 10 years, like 15 years ago, I would have Darren McFadden on every season, and he would be lights out, but he was always under the radar. It's kind of the same thing as Josh Jacobs, but 4 games over 30 points, 12 touchdowns. I truly can't believe they couldn't win with this guy and Devontae Adams. Derek Carr sucks, but I hope he gets out. I hope he goes somewhere where he's used correctly and on a team that wins. So we'll see.
So this is perfect because Josh Jacobs is my second gold star on my top 3. So I am in with Janelle. I think, like you said, he's very underrated, but he carried my team so much again this season. Having him and Josh Allen, like, on the same team, I was like, yes, I'm living for this. All the Joshes really did good for me this year. But he really crushed it. He was a standout player. Average points 19.31. Like, I cannot say enough good things about him. And you think like, oh, Josh, like a standout running back, third best fantasy. Like, oh, he probably plays for anybody but the Raiders. So I always forget that he's on the Raiders because they're just so fucking irrelevant.
And he probably won't be a first-round pick next year, even with these stats. Like, he will fly under the radar, and someone will pick him up in the second round.
Hopefully me. But, yeah, his top game against Seattle, 48.3 points.
I remember that week.
Insane.
Crazy.
Insane. And even, like, some of these other games, though, 36.5, 30.3, 34.5. Like, he was just so consistent. I think he had 5, it doesn't count, but like 5 games that were under 10 points. Like, he was just crushing it.
And those games are probably the Raiders got their ass kicked, so they're not running the ball.
Yeah, the last one was against Kansas City, so.
Which is hard to judge a running back on some of these games because sometimes it's out of their control, but there's some that just fucking suck.
I will say they had a pretty easy schedule. Like, he had some good matchups.
Yeah, and they still didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
They should have made the playoffs with their schedule, and him and Devontae Adams, like, they should have made the playoffs, but they didn't.
It's crazy because, again, another player I forget is on the Raiders, Devontae Adams. And he's like a standout player. All they'd ever talked about when he was on the Packers was him and Aaron Jones. And now I'm like, forget he's even there.
I had Devontae Adams in like 3 leagues. And I feel bad for the guy. He made a shitty choice.
Yeah.
And now he's just trapped there unless they get Tom Brady or get somebody. But we'll see.
But I mean, if Aaron Rodgers was my quarterback and captain, I would have been like, peace out.
I know, dude, but we saw like saw a homie named Christian just absolutely feasting being a wide receiver on the Green Bay Packers. Devontae Adams would have had a great year at Green Bay, and he had a good year in Las Vegas. It just wasn't as consistent as it normally was because he was getting passes from Derek Carr, and I understand why he wanted to play with Derek Carr again. They played together in Fresno. But Derek Carr's not good in the NFL.
No, and I think that if Devontae Adams were on the Packers, they would have made the playoffs.
Absolutely. They would have been way better. Yeah. I agree.